Thank you so much, Consul General, for talking to us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this program.
So my first question would be, part of your legacy involves making sure that there is a fair trade and good relations between India and Canada, and international students play a major role in that regard in terms of Canadian economy. So and now next year Canada is bracing itself up for the record intake of Indian students. So what measures are you taking to make sure that this becomes a success?
Yeah, of course, international students do form a great part of our people-to-people relationship. As you know, India and Canada are natural partners. We are strategic partners. We share the same values, and but we have a good business relationship. The Canadian investment in India have increased to $60 billion. The bilateral trade is $10 billion. But the most important component of this relationship is the people-to-people relationship, and we have this wonderful group of Indian students who keep coming to Canada, and Indian students form the largest chunk of international students in Canada. So the current numbers are 230,000, which is the largest of international students in Canada. So of course, when they come here, we try and make them comfortable. We request them to register with us. We have certain, we reach out to universities. We are in touch with universities. We are in touch with community organization to make them feel safe and comfortable. So definitely, we on the part of the consulate, we do our best to ensure their safety and security and comfort. Definitely we work on that.
And as you mentioned that Indian students contribute to the largest chunk as in international student data. So do you think it's time for the Indian consulate to have a separate council for international students?
As in a separate office?
Yeah.
Officer or office?
Like a separate, you can say a council, which specifically deals with international students coming from India.
This is basically, we have to deal with the number of, every mission has a certain number of people who are given to them, and the consular work is immense here. I think it's one of the largest in the world in terms of consular services that we provide. Toronto is one of the biggest Indian missions. Mm-hmm. We have to make use of the number of people who are available to us, but definitely having less people doesn't affect our work. We try not to affect our work. We have, it's done by 2-3 people in the mission. I'm personally responsible for it, but there's a community welfare council who also deals with the problems related to students. Then there's our commerce wing is also instrumental in reaching out to universities. And plus we have made a mechanism of community organization. So we have a WhatsApp group which is called Sahyog, and we made it during COVID times, and these have community organization, around 80 community organizations across my jurisdiction, which is from Winnipeg to Atlantics, and any problem faced by any student or any Indian community members is placed on that, and whoever is able to help, we coordinate it, but with the help of community organization, we try and support students and other Indian people in general. So coming to your question, we don't have a separate team dedicated to students, but all of us together work in tandem to provide all necessary support.
Mm-hmm. And talking further about international students, during the pandemic, a lot of them, they lost their jobs, and most of the people were not able to go home because of the travel restrictions. So what measures your council is taking to make sure that the incoming students feel secure?
Yeah, so there are two parts of it. One is the students who were already here during the pandemic. What we did is we immediately made this WhatsApp group, which I mentioned to you earlier, and it was a boon. It was because the information was sharing very quickly. Whenever anybody was getting to know about some situation, people, and then there were students who got COVID, and then with the help of community organizations, we provided them food. Any student who was in a problem contacted any of the community organizations, and we all knew, and we were helping that. So one was that there were students who want to go back to India, so we facilitated their going back to India through the Vande Bharat flight, Air India Vande Bharat flight, and we reached out to universities and colleges. We were in constant touch with the university administrations in my jurisdiction and the student organizations both. So any problem, and I was so happy to see the universities also stood up and they were giving kind of allowances to students. Then the community organizations, Indian community organizations also were giving a lot of help. And we were there coordinating all that and helping out. So that was one aspect. The other aspect of was the mobility issues, because the new students who were coming here, which is the recent fact, and there was, and then the Indian RT-PCR tests were not recognized in Canada, and they had to come from third countries. This was creating a lot of problem. So of course we took it up with Canadians several times, and because many people are coming, and it was a risk for them, for their health, to coming from 2-3 countries. So now eventually there is one testing center that is established in Delhi, where people are getting tested and coming through direct flights. We are also taking up with Canadian government that more testing centers should be established, not only in Delhi but in Mumbai and south of India, so that it eases up the coming of students from India to Canada.
So do you think, like in the coming days forward, like I think people are coming for the winter intake in Canada, especially the students. So do you think that it will be easier for them to travel now?
It is easier because now they can come directly from India, which was earlier not the case. So definitely it's a lot of students are coming. Now I have again started going out to universities. I have recently visited the University of Gulf, University of Waterloo, Dalhousie University in Halifax. I have visited University of New Brunswick. So I've been meeting students there and giving them information sessions and giving my contact details. So University of Winnipeg I recently visited. So yeah, we are coordinating and we are visiting and reaching out to students.
And I keep reading reports about some students from India, they get exploited here in Canada. Do you get complaints?
I haven't received many formal complaints. I have received a couple of formal complaints about Indian students being exploited, but I have read some things on media, and I have reached out. We are more proactive. Whenever we read something, we reach out to them, and whatever problems we try and solve it either through directly or through, if they need something financially or through community organizations, we definitely take cognizance of that and we try and solve it.
So just for our viewers, like if somebody is facing any kind of problem, how can they reach to you or to people who work with you?
They can write directly to me. My email address is on the website, plus they can write to my Council of Community Welfare. It's there. His email is also on the website, and we immediately will reach out to them.
Okay, and many international students suffered from mental health, specifically during the pandemic, because they lost their jobs or they were not able to connect with their loved ones. And international students in general, they don't have a direct access to public health care here in Canada. So are you doing anything in that regard?
I think they have access to public health. I think international students do have access to public health in Ontario. But if there are any specific cases, please feel free to contact us. We'll try and help you as far as possible.
And we see and hear many cases of like untimely death of international students, and is the government making sure to make some funds available for such students so that their bodies can be sent back to India? Yes,
I mean, this is very unfortunate. I would like to raise this issue that it's been 2 years I've been posted here, and I have seen some very unfortunate deaths, especially in case of international students. And the reasons which I see mainly in winters, it's accidents. So I would like to, I take this opportunity today with while speaking to you, if it reaches to international student, that please be very careful, because first of all, please practice properly, and then the roads in winters are quite slippery because of the ice, so they have to be very careful. And many students I have seen dying because they didn't put the seat belt on the back seat. So unlike in India, here in the back seat also you have to like put the the belts. So these are the issues which come in summers. I have seen a lot of drowning cases because our students don't. I mean,
they don't follow rules.
They don't follow rules. They jump anywhere. So please follow all the rules. Also, there's a temperature difference. It's in India the water is quite warm. But here there's an instant temperature difference. Even in summers, the water is quite cold. And then there are dedicated places to bathe or to get into water. So they really have to follow this. I mean, I urge them to please follow all the rules in order to be safe. And the third reason which I see is, of course, the mental health, because many of them are under a lot of pressure. They have to, they have to pay back their loans. So there the community organizations come very handy, and there are many regional community organizations. So we ask them to kind of organize things for the students, and I think many temples and gurudwaras also organize many things. But any specific case, we'll be very happy to help out and connect people.
And all the immigrants, especially international students who come to Canada, they make a lot of mistakes because they have lack of information. So what, according to you, are the major do's and don'ts that the students can follow if they are prepping to come to Canada in January next year?
Yeah, first of all, it's really cold out here. So if you compare it with Indian winters, it's too harsh. So that they have to take care of. They really have to take care of themselves. They have to buy really warm clothes, preferably from Canada, because it's made for the Canadian winters. Then many people, many children I have seen wants to earn money while studying. Some little part is okay, but they have to focus on their study. Yeah. That is most important. And keep on talking to your parents and your family back home. Be connected with community organizations, and also try out the Canadian way of life. You have to integrate here. Eventually, many of you will stay here for good. So it's better to integrate, to do what Canadians do in winters. Just to be integrated and just to have new experiences. And please register on our website. We do provide, as you rightly said, we do provide financial assistance in sending mortal remains back to India, but that is not the it's such an unfortunate thing which we have to do. When you speak to a family member of the students who have passed away, it's the worst thing that anybody can handle. As a consulate, it's really it's so unfortunate that we have to do sometimes this kind of thing. So please take care of yourselves. Please be connected. Please study hard. You have come here to study, so that's the most important thing. And everything else can wait. And please feel free to connect with us. Please register with us, because many times what happens is, we get a call at 9 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night that this student has passed away and needs to be sent. But we don't have any contact about them. We don't have the local numbers here. We don't have the family numbers there. So if you register with us, if something, it shouldn't happen, but if something happens to you, if there's an accident, or if we need your contacts immediately, or your person who can be contacted on your behalf. Mm-hmm. So please register with the consulate. That's the most important thing, I must say.
Mm-hmm. And one question that I'm going to ask you is completely unrelated to the international student, but it is related to OCI. So there were certain reports currently about people who turn 60, they again have to register themselves for OCI. Is it true?
No, it's not at all true. Actually, the OCI system we have liberalized it. You have to go on a website. I think it's ociservices.in. You can check it on our website, exact website, and you just have to upload your details whenever your passport changes, or whenever you have attained the age of, or your photographs needs to be changed. You don't have to come to us. You can do it on your own.
So it's all online.
It's online. Yeah.
Okay. So Consulate, my final question would be about pandemic again. Pandemic has delayed the immigration process. There are a lot of students who are currently in Canada, and some have applied from India, and they're waiting for their visas. So, what do you want to tell them? Because right now the process looks very, I can say confusing for everyone, because they don't know whether they should prep to be here in Canada or should they enroll in a college. What should they do? The future doesn't look that bright. So what do you have to say to them?
This is a totally Canadian government issue, and I cannot comment on that because they have to give the visa. I can just say that, yeah, of course, you are coming to Canada, you have to follow their regulations, the Canadian regulations here. So you have to be patient and just wait for it. We can't do much. We have taken up, we keep from time to time, a lot of people contact us. We forward it to the Canadian government saying that, to expedite the visas giving, but eventually it's their decision and how they want to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Consulate, for talking to us and sharing your wonderful insight.
Thank you so much.